Good afternoon. Today we will discuss our proposition to bring the NFL International Series to Singapore. The NFL brand continues to expand globally. We believe Asia should be the next stop. Singapore is centrally located in Southeast Asia, where a large NFL fan base exists and has the resources to host this event. Today's presentation will cover the following topics. Each will address specific points that we will address in order to bring NFL to Singapore. Some of these topics include an analysis of the potential target market, our entry strategy, and how we plan to set up the organization. The NFL International Series was established in 2007 as a series of games held in the United Kingdom. Previously, the NFL held exhibition games in Mexico and Canada, but not until the International Series had the sport expanded outside of North America. The tickets for this first game in 2007 sold out in less than 90 minutes. The International Series continued to expand throughout the last 8 years. In 2015, 3 regular season games will be played. All tickets sold out in record time. The games are played at Wembley Stadium with a crowd of 84,000 people. The event runs all week, culminating with the actual game on Sunday. The 2 games generated over £32 million, $50 million US, into the London economy in 2014. This slide depicts a geographical representation of NFL fans and their location in Southeast Asia. China continues to have one of the largest fan base at 31 million. India and Indonesia have 8 million fans between their 2 markets. Singapore's fan base is approximately 51,000. However, that represents over 10% of their population. Australia has approximately 140,000 fans. However, the flight would be lengthy, 7 hours, to get to Singapore. It should be noted that the number of fans have grown year over year based on the study by Repcom. The NFL has an established presence in Asia, with dedicated offices in both China and Japan. The NFL scheduled a preseason game in 2007 between the Patriots and Seahawks, ironically, but the game was later canceled due to both the Beijing Olympics and the economic factors. Conservatively, approximately 35 million NFL fans live within a short 5-hour flight to Singapore. This is important, as the F1 racing and international soccer events draw significant tourism from these countries. Singapore has a rich history of bringing international sports to its country. In 2014, Singapore completed a state-of-the-art sports hub to host both domestic and international sport competitions. Events in the sports hub draw approximately 50,000 fans to each event. For the F1 race, that is also held annually, over 250,000 people visit Singapore just for the weekend. Singapore will host the 2015 Women's Tennis Association Champion as well. Singapore is largely dependent on the service industry, therefore tourism is critically important. Per the Singapore Tourism Board, Singapore draws close to 15 million people a year. 1.1 million of these tourists came from Asia. The NFL could bring in additional tourists to Singapore to further support the economy. Singapore has both resources and infrastructure to support an event of this magnitude. Before making the final selection of entering Singapore and hosting an NFL sporting event there, we looked at both the political and legal risk of entering this market. Singapore is a sovereign city-state with a parliamentary system of government. Singapore is seen globally as one of the least risky countries to do business with in all of Asia. Singapore continues to receive AAA ratings from firms like Moody's and Standard & Poor's, which rates the overall investability in that country. Singapore as a nation continues to invest and develop in high value-added sectors such as chemical and financial. While there are a number of positive low-risk sides to Singapore, it is not risk-free. Citizens of Singapore continue to feel they are getting squeezed out of the labor market, with a number of jobs going to immigrants from India and other Asian countries. Also, property prices continue to creep higher, making it more difficult to buy. These trends, along with the economy being heavily dependent on exports, shortages of skilled citizen labor, and the overall aging population, are some of the risks to take into consideration when entering the market. Overall, Singapore and its Prime Minister have a positive relationship with the United States, having met with the former President George W. Bush in 2005. Additionally, the 2 countries signed the U.S.-Singapore Free Trade Agreement. This agreement includes lowering tariffs and allowing for easier movement of citizens between the 2 countries. Overall, Singapore has a low political risk and good potential for bringing the NFL there. Singapore has 2 sources of law, litigation law and case or common law. Similar to the U.S., the courts constitute a binding precedent and rely on past court decisions to rule on future cases. Singapore instituted a number of acts to protect employees and promote healthy business competition. It is important that we understand all of these fully prior to entering the Singapore market. There are 4 primary acts that protect the rights of workers. The Industrial Relations Act regulates the relations of employers and their employees and the prevention of the settlement of trade disputes by collective bargaining. The Employment Act sets minimum working conditions. Both workmen's and central provident protect workers' financial interests. As can be seen on the Corruption Index indicator, Singapore ranks 7 out of 175 and is one of the least corrupt countries in the world. Part of this is attributed to the Competition Act passed in 2005. With Singapore having similar legal structure and low corruption, there are few barriers to entry to move NFL into this country. Aside from putting together a business plan and securing capital, there are startup requirements in Singapore to set up and register a business. Enterprise One, a portal and network designed to help businesses start and grow in Singapore, provides guidance in the process of launching a venture in Singapore. Enterprise One is managed by Spring Singapore, an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. A few first steps are applying for the appropriate work passes, visas, and permits. Visas and passes allow foreigners who wish to start a new business in Singapore to live and or frequently travel to Singapore to conduct business. There are various work passes and permits, and the type will depend on the purpose and qualification. Access to SingPass is required to complete all government transactions, including registering the business. In addition to these first steps, Enterprise One provides a checklist that should be met prior to registering the business. This includes ensuring that the business meets eligibility requirements, the business name is available to register, and obtaining licenses and permits for certain business activities. In our business, a few permits we may need to consider are food shop license, liquor license, and video license. Once all the groundwork and preparation have been completed, the next step is to register the business. There are 2 ways to register. Both are online and either will suffice. It is recommended that a branch of a foreign company not based in Singapore hire a professional firm to assist with registration. The costs of registration are listed. Note that the processes and costs are slightly different between local and foreign-based businesses. We will need to evaluate the costs and benefits between being local and foreign based for our business. This will include tax implications, currency exchange, accounting policies and regulations, and other limitations and our government assistance programs. There has been a rising trend of major international sporting events being hosted in Singapore. The Singapore F1 Grand Prix is a major event and attraction that has been hosted by Singapore since 2008. It is currently on Formula One's calendar through 2017. The Women's Tennis Association, WTA, has also chosen Singapore to host their championship event in 2019. Singapore was also the host of the 2010 Youth Olympic Games. These are just a few of the highlights on a long list of recent sporting events in Singapore. These are a few highlights of major sporting events in 2015. The most notable in 2015 may be the 28th Southeast Asian Games. It is the largest multi-sport event in the region and is expected to hold over 400 events across 36 different sports. It has been 22 years since Singapore hosted this event and will be held in conjunction with the celebration of Singapore's 50th anniversary. Other significant events are the return of the F1 Grand Prix and the WTA Championships. Singapore will also host a number of major cycling events. Singapore is well equipped to host major stadium sporting events. The newly constructed National Stadium opened its doors in 2014. The stadium is part of a large sports, entertainment, and lifestyle hub. The complex includes an Olympic-sized aquatic center, sports museum, and library, and shopping mall. It is the state-of-the-art facility in a picturesque setting. It has a 55,000 seating capacity, which is larger than some of the U.S. NFL stadiums. The stadium has a retractable roof that covers 95% of seating and only takes about 20 minutes to open or close. The roof is made of weather-resistant material and also blocks out heat from the sun and can double as a huge projector screen. The stadium also has an innovative cooling system that is energy efficient and effective. Cool air is circulated from under the seats and is partially powered by solar panels. The lowest tier of seats can be rearranged mechanically, allowing for unprecedented versatility and accommodating different types of events. It is currently the largest dome in the world at 312 meters in diameter, 37 meters more than the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. The stadium has its own mass rapid transit line with sheltered walkways from 2 stations. As we've discussed already, there are a number of pros to entering Singapore market, including its favorable political, tax, and economic systems. However, there are always potential cons to any business decision. For the NFL, it risks the criticism of its fan base by taking away a home game for any teams designated to play overseas. The league also faces potential lost revenue from the U.S. cities for these same home games, not to mention the sheer logistical impact of transporting required equipment and the effect of NFL players on the drastic time change. Prior to entering a new market, it is important for an organization to analyze several key factors, including market potential, levels of compensation, legal and political environment, socio-cultural influences, and cost-benefit risk analysis. Up to this point, we've established Singapore as a fertile tourism-driven market with a preferable legal and political environment. Positive analysis on these key factors allows the Singapore market to enter the initiative to move forward. In order for the NFL to successfully enter the Singapore market, it is best suited to follow a similar strategy to the one currently employed in London. That is, begin with exhibition games to gauge the level of interest before committing to designating 1 or 2 regular season games to be played in Singapore's national stadium each year. The NFL will need to expand its successful social media marketing campaigns to target international markets in order to build hype and create awareness. In addition, the hosting of NFL-focused events such as the NFL Combine or fan experience overseas will help draw attention. As a long-term strategy, the NFL will be best suited to shift towards a 19-week, 17 schedule game. This would eliminate the lost home games for U.S. fans while allowing the NFL significant expansion opportunity by each team playing in a neutral site game. These games could be played at overseas locations such as Singapore or even non-NFL U.S. cities. The NFL head office operates as a nonprofit organization with only one commissioner, secretary, and treasurer. Each of the 32 NFL teams operates as its own separate entity with an intricate hierarchical structure. In order to support additional responsibilities of international marketing operations, each team would be best suited to add a VP of International Relations with a team of international marketing analysts as direct reports. Here we've added the VP of International Relationship and marketing team to the team organization hierarchy. In summary, expanding the NFL International Series into Singapore is the next step for the company. As you can see, the past sales history has been astounding and a huge success in the United Kingdom. The NFL currently has a major presence in China and Japan, yielding 35 million fans within a 5-hour flight. Combined with 50,000 fans within Singapore and many more around the world, the event is assured to be a success. In addition, Singapore has a rich history of bringing international sports to its country. This event will add to the brand of the NFL while simultaneously benefiting Singapore. Since Singapore is largely dependent on the service industry, this expansion is another way for them to secure additional revenues and add to their tourism. As discussed, there are a number of positive, low-risk sides to entering Singapore, which helps to the attractiveness of the expansion. Furthermore, there are a number of acts that protect employees and promote healthy business competition. The political environment of Singapore is not only conducive of a company operating internationally, it is also conducive to the workforce. The keystone of the NFL's success in utilizing Enterprise One, this portal and network, was designed to help businesses start and grow in the Singapore market. After progressing through the initial setup, Enterprise One provides a checklist that should be completed prior to registration of the business. Once registration is complete, the earning potential commences. As a reminder, a great benefit to this expansion is the availability of the state-of-the-art 55,000 seating capacity stadium built in 2014. It's larger than some of the U.S. NFL stadiums and has a retractable roof that covers 95% of seating and only takes about 20 minutes to open or close. This facility is already in place and can be leveraged to increase revenues. In conclusion, the entry strategy should be mirrored to the launch of the London Games. First, hold exhibition games to gauge the level of interest, then determine the number of seasons to commit to. As a long-term strategy, the NFL will be best suited to shift towards 19-week, 17-game schedule to eliminate the lost home games for the U.S. fans, while at the same time allowing the NFL significant expansion opportunity by each team playing a neutral site game. Lastly, the organization will require a restructure and an addition of a VP of International Relations and Marketing to ensure an efficient and profitable integration into the Singapore market. Thank you for your time. It was our pleasure to present this information to you.